Is it even working? I'm not even sure. Let's see. Your dashboard. Make sure everything's working. Okay. Seems like it's okay, but the audio is really, really quiet for some reason. There we go. Make sure that's not too loud. Okay. Wow is right. Wow is very much right. It's been a minute. Developing in TypeScript. It's been quite some time since I've streamed anything, really. So, um, so yeah. How's it going? Anyway. So, I don't even know what I'm going to be working on, to be completely honest. There's a few things that I want to do. One of them is finish the barbershop, but I don't know if I'm actually going to be doing that. Wasn't really a set goal in mind when I wanted to do the stream today, so. No, not at all. I don't usually stream. It's probably been 7-8 months since I've streamed, so. It's definitely been a minute. So, anyway, I was working on this in the background, but I'm not really sure what's left to do with this other than hook it into barbershops and things like that. I don't know. I mean, currently you can't even exit this menu, so there's also that, I guess. I don't know, there's a bunch of things that I need to work on, so. Let's see. So, like, one thing I'm trying to figure out is, so we have the open and close, we have the setup camera. Oh, Jones. But what else? These things here where we have the update, this can actually just be called directly. If I'm not mistaken. So I should be able to just fix that and make it that way. But let me see. Hide overlays. Which I think is, let me double check something. Set up camera. So we have no way to like close at the moment. So we need to set this to true, and then we do barbershop view. Close. So we don't need this one, but we also don't need I don't remember how all this works. Hold on. So we have Athena. Oh, sorry. Wait. Athena client. Web view. then we have ready, which is supposed to do page name. Yeah, it's been a very long time. Barbershop view. Thanks for coming to hang out though, you know? Maybe I can start doing this again. I don't know. Don't hold me accountable on that. Should actually just be open, I think. Yeah, open, page your pages, hide overlays. So let's replace this with this. We can get rid of this. We can get rid of close. We can get rid of ready. This update can just be called directly now. So let's make that update just go call, or I mean, we'll make it call it directly or whatever, which is going to be, where is it? Alt something. Why don't I see it? Alt. Ah. Then we do web view events. I don't know if that's actually the import name. I can't remember. Yeah, so we have web view events, which we can import like this. So let's copy that, put that over here. There we go. All right, so we have web view events, and then we can do web view events dot emit server. We're going to emit the event name and the information that we are going to update. And then we can remove onset data. We have an emit for ready. I don't remember. I think we need to do web view events emit ready. Yeah. And then we just do component name. No arguments need to be passed. And we don't need to do... No, we do need to do this, which is just web view events on set data. It's not set data. Okay. And then on the client, we need to remove this because it's no longer necessary. We can remove the auth events because they're also not necessary. We actually don't need this. I don't think we need to do close page anymore. We don't need to do set overlay. Focus and everything else is pretty normal. The other thing is the update, but that's for emitting to the server. So this one should actually just be web view event, or Athena web view emit. Is it emit? No. It's supposed to be Athena client. Sorry, Athena client web view. And then we should just do a emit. American Alt V framework developer. Hey, Chaos. How's it going? Welcome to whatever this is. Alright, so we're passing that data through there. What else are we missing here? We don't need that anymore. What else we got? So we have, I think, everything in here as far as migrating to the new WebView stuff. Because I think on server side it should handle it already, but I guess there's one way to find out, right? Yep, that seems to be working. And that is also working. Okay. And let me check this as well. Yeah, that's also working. Okay, so cool. And I can close it too, and my camera's stuck. Perfect. But I don't have anything to really destroy the camera. I don't think I set that up yet. Destroy camera. Oh, we do have it. Destroy camera. Why is it still... Render script cams. I probably need to set that to false or whatever. False, 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 false. And then let's see. Hey, it works. Okay, so that's totally working as far as exiting that menu, which means you can exit without saving, which is perfect. I just wanted to be able to set that up so all that works, and then I think all the other stuff is working fine. Sorry, hold on. Well, I guess I never finished doing this part. That's okay though. So this works. Okay, that does work. All right. And currently it just saves it and it doesn't even it doesn't like reset it. You know what I mean? So what I need to do is do an emit to server side to restore the previous settings. Which we just need to do an emit to server side, I think. Should be about the as far as that goes. So let's do alt emit server. Let's set up an event for that. I think we could just use close actually. So let's just do that. Close. Okay, and then let's capture that event on server side. It is not a Visual Studio Code theme. It is just a lot of trickery. I get this question every time I stream like this. Okay. Oh. Here, hold on. It makes main code part less readable. Well, yeah, I mean, it's solely for aesthetics, honestly. But what I can do is make it so that the background, like this, I can make it less intense. By doing, hold on, give me a second. We're gonna change this to a chroma key. And then we're going to turn down the opacity, I think. Darken it a little bit. Maybe this is a little bit better. Well, the editor's only transparent for you guys, not for me. So if that makes any difference. But again, but I could also change the foreground too to make it a little more easier to read. So like this is like normal. So I could just like do like a little bit. And that might be a little better. How about that? And then for the chat here. And let's change this to about around the same. So let's do like a 95. Sorry, I haven't streamed in forever, so like everything here is very new as far as the setup goes. Like this is all like thrown together in the past hour or something. So let's go like this. Let's change this to 0 again. Okay, go back to code. All right, that should be a little bit better. I hope. Probably move that to about right there. Okay, hopefully that's a little more, or a little easier to read for everybody. Let me know if it's not, I don't know. Also, let me change this because I like Legacy a lot more. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully that's a little easier to read. It makes everything more consistent as far as colors and whatever else goes. Now the only other issue I'm having is the game. I'm gonna make a game scene real quick. Give me a second. Game capture. Capture specific. Set it to this. And then we're gonna go transform, fit to screen. And then we're going to replace the one that's in here so that we get a scene that's always loaded. Because that's another issue that I'm having. It's like the loading of it is just, I don't know, it's slow sometimes, if that makes sense. Go like this, and we move the game down, couple, like that. And then over here, I'm not sure yet what I'm actually working on. I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm doing some small modifications to some things that I have, but I was also thinking about doing a server-side state manager with events that get emitted when you change different data for players and things like that, which I think would be really nice. It's kind of something a little challenging for me, a little different, but I don't know. Let's get that in here. Sorry. Hold on while I change all this stuff. Yeah, it was like 2 seconds loading, saw that instantly. Yeah, exactly. So now when I switch, it's just like boom, which is way better. So like property observers, yeah, something like that. I'd probably do my own version of it though. Because like, I don't know how to explain it other than it's just like little things that are bothering me about how things are set up right now. Like one thing is like the I don't know if you guys are even familiar with like some of you in chat are even familiar with this framework. But there's like limitations in certain things. And some things are very, very complicated. Like inventory, for example. Like the inventory stuff alone, it's a lot of code, to say the least. It's a lot of code with a lot of functions. And I've been trying to work on a new version of it, which is like a simple version, which kind of fulfills the basics of inventory stuff. Like it's literally like get this item, find this item's index, or add this item by name, stuff like that. So it's like really, really, really complicated shit. So, but also like on the other side of inventory, like everything in here is like checked on server side when you're doing stuff. So like when I move this to a tab, it's already doing all the checks and everything on server side. So like when I move this stuff around, which, you know, you can barely see it, but yeah, you know I'm getting at. Also, hold on. There's something weird about the chat that I'm noticing. Give me a second while I fix this. Let's turn all this off. There we go. Have to fix the chat colors. Okay. Better. Anyway. But yes, so yeah, when you move things around in the inventory down here, it's all doing the stuff on server side for checks and everything else. It's like, oh, it's going from this tab to this tab. I want to make sure there's something here. I want to make sure this tab is open, or this space is open, or this slot is open, and so on and so forth. So it's not just all like client side or whatever. But anyway. No problem. I don't remember anything about MLOs anymore. So I'm glad it helps somebody out there. Like, that information was literally just like, I'm gonna make this video. And then the entire information got, like, just thrown out the window after I made the tutorial. So, at least it was useful. But I know there's, like, Blender tutorials and stuff for it now. Yeah, exactly, pro player. Like, a lot of this stuff you shouldn't do client-side, so... Maybe bold. I don't know if I can make it bold. Let me check. You guys are helping me set up my stream, just so you know. It's been so long since I've done this, so bear with me here. See, maybe what we can do is do that. Nice and bold like that. I don't think we need an outline. But what I could add is an image. And let me find it. Hold on. I don't know if I have just a blank background one. Oh, I do. It's got an outline though. Ah, gotcha. Okay. Give me a sec. Text. Well, either way. Oh, thanks for the bits. I'm not saying not long got back from work, super tired. Enjoy the rest of your stream? Okay, for sure. Thanks for the bits, man. I appreciate it. Not really expected by anyone, so please just, yeah. Really finishing the stream for in 3 hours. Ah, I see. I forgot that release is happening today. I'm not gonna lie. Also, why is the text so scuffed? There we go. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. So another thing, hold on, let me do this real quick because this should actually be in here. I think it's just disable. I don't remember. I can't remember how to do my own stuff. Hold on. Plugins. Disable plugin. Yeah, so just disable. Okay. Oh yeah, this... Yeah, the text is a little glitched. It's strange. Yeah, so the Athena framework is huge. Like, if you've ever dug into this thing before, or even just checked out the repository, there's so much code in here, it's absurd. Like, there's just so much stuff. Like, it just goes and goes and goes and goes. So, but it's very easy to build new features and things with it, which is, you know, the purpose of it. So, but yeah. Anyway, I don't know where to start with this. So, I've been working on this barbershop thing, right? Which looks like this currently. You can kind of like change your hairstyle or whatever. And I also wrote it so that the code can actually manipulate other players if you set up a barbershop thing with them, but I haven't tested it, and I don't know when I'm going to test it. but it seems to be working fairly well, I would say. Um, the only other thing that I am not sure about with this is I probably need something up here or maybe here, I don't know, for saving the changes. But I'm also not sure how it's going to like charge people as well, if that makes sense. If it's even going to charge people, or should I just let that make it, or should I just make it so that it's handled by the players, where they just take care of the payments and things like that if they cut their own hair or whatever. Hey, Babush. And Shady. Yeah, there's no Alt V in the stream title. I'm sorry. It's okay. But yeah, I mean, that's all in there. I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna work on, honestly. It's like, I didn't have a goal when I started the stream, so I should probably figure that out. Like, I could sit here and write code about the simple inventory, or I can try and finish Barbershop. I don't know where I'm taking it yet, though, so I'm kind of just... Maybe I should wait on that. Just do the payment consistently, as in other jobs? What do you mean by that? Also, let me know if there's like a delay. I don't know what the delay is on the stream anymore. So starting now, I guess. I don't know. Just tell me when you hear this. How about that? Okay, so it's about like 4 or 5 seconds. I guess the players can handle the payment themselves. Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, do I just force it on them, or I don't know. If payment is handled by players and other jobs, do it with the barbershop as well. Well, currently, other jobs don't exactly exist. It's like, it's an automatic kind of thing where, like, yeah. Latency should be 2.7. Okay. I guess it just depends. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna do. I've been like doing a lot of refactoring and things like that and trying to build out the core APIs, which is really important as well. Like, we have our own set of API in here to help build things, but I don't remember if anything's actually... I don't know what's missing from it currently. Like, I know there's ways to do blips and things like that, but I don't know. Maybe we can look at... What is the initial client-side heap command? Let me check, actually. Total physical size, 99 megabytes. I don't think that's the initial size. Okay, what do you mean by initial size then? Like a reconnect? If you use reconnect or resource restart? Okay. So you're saying that this is probably not... Yeah, it's actually growing, so... If I wanted the initial size, I gotta restart the client, I think. Here, let me do that. One sec. There's a new release coming out today, so you can check that stream out when that becomes live. I'm actually not sure when that is, to be completely honest. Maybe I should check that on the Discord. It's in 20 UTC. There you go. How many hours from now, Chaos? It's a little easier to understand that. Like 6? I don't know. Hi, Toxic. How's it going? Five hours. Okay. Toxic was one of the most important people for Alt V. Period. So. Was. Since he's doing other stuff now. Okay, here you go. Shady. What's even crazier is like, if you see our timers and stuff, like here, let's look at it now. It didn't grow by much, but if you look at the timers, like we have timer info of like running. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so I need to fix that. So it's opening. That's really annoying. So if we do this, we do that. Oh. So we have an issue with... let me find it. There's a keybind thing somewhere in here. If I can even remember where it is. Maybe I'll just check the inventory thing. Inventory. So we have key up. If... what is it? Console something? Is console open? Turn. Around 70 megabytes? Oh, that makes me feel better about how large my game is then. Yeah, so let's see. If we do timers, we have 23 running timers, 9 every ticks and 14 interval. 12 interval. 13 interval. 12 interval. Anyway, so we have all this information here. We can also do like timer info. There was something else though. I can't remember what the timer commands are. We have these like built-in custom timer thing to help figure out what timers are running under what files and what intervals are running under what files and so on and so forth, which is really awesome. So if you have like here, yeah, timers list. So we do timers list. And these are the current running timers that we have. And we're able to see what their millisecond execution is. So we have one at 3 seconds. We have one at 0, which is obvious for text labels. We have one for 500 milliseconds, so on and so forth. We also have like a name tag one. So we don't have too many timers actually running, but then we could actually do like timer info, and then we could look at the ID of what that timer is. And we could do like, let's say that we want to look at 46. We can get like the average completion time for each individual timer to see. No, they're not RML UI. I have been trying to do that for like a couple times, but I've ran into multiple issues with it. So I haven't had the time to actually like go through and try and fix it again. Like I have some boilerplate code, but it's just not great. It has its issues, and it's actually created some crashing issues as well. So I haven't had the time to like go back and try again. I would like to get it into RML UI, as well as like the, what is it, like test world help text, like this stuff. I want to get that in RML UI as well, which would be really nice. Because you can only have one of those in the world with native GTA, but with RML UI I can have like hundreds of them, you know what I mean? So it'd be really nice to get that stuff in there. So I don't know. Anyway. So I'm thinking I need to make a player state management thing that just emits events based on if you change stuff inside of data. Yeah, it's really awesome. Like, I definitely agree with you on that. It's super handy. But I think my problem is that, like, I don't have a way to manage elements very well in RML UI. That's the current issue. Like, I've tried doing it based on, like, IDs and things like that, and it's just caused problems, so I don't know. At some point, I'll take a look at it again, but right now it's not something that's high on my priority list. So, anyway, so let's say that maybe we want to watch or not watch, but create a state management for player data. So I'm thinking maybe we should do that. And we could probably house all the different types for it since we have like player and vehicle. And then we can, yeah, let's just go ahead and try and do that. Let's just call it like state manager. Right. So if I was building a state manager, what I want it to do is not really, well, so there's two ways to do it. There's one way which is like you loop through the players, you check their data, and you check if any data modifications have been made from the previous data modifications, which is a lot of overhead, which is really, I don't think, the right solution. The other option that I have, which is feeding most of the data updates through this state manager specifically, which I think is the better option. And that means like major refactors as far as like how the data is updated for individual players. It's a lot of code change, but it also makes it so that anything that gets changed inside of data gets emitted through an event at that point. And then I don't have overhead and I'm using the same data set or whatever. So I think we'll probably go down that route, I think. So if we do export class, let's call it state manager. And then we want to do like a type. Actually, we don't need to do a type. We need to do so let's just start off with set, right? And then we do, we don't really need to do get. Well, we could do get, but it's not really going to matter, honestly. Let me think about it. Like that RML uses the same context as client.js. Yeah. So this is essentially would be like doing the same as what this does already. So like if we think about what the alt does, where we have like ultimate, it'd be essentially like doing the same thing. Or like when we do like player.setMeta, it'd be pretty much the same thing. So it's kind of like, do we do it? You know what I mean? And this would be entirely server side too. Do we set this up? I'm trying to think of like what the use cases for this is. And if we do set it up, like why don't we tap into meta and make it so that cross resources can access the same data? I don't know why we would need that though, honestly, because we have a plugin system already built into this framework. Do we do this? Like before I commit time to this, I need to decide if this is actually something that is worthwhile. And then maybe we register callbacks? Is this even necessary? I'm trying to think of like what the use case for this is if I build this. Like then you could listen to data changes from other resources that affect the different data inside of a player's structure. Like player.data X or Y or Z or whatever. But it's like, do I need that? Could be interesting for plugins, right? It definitely could be. Depends on other stuff, right? So here, let me explain what I'm talking about real quick. So like, let's say that I have a player here, right? And inside of player, I have data. So if player.data or player.valid or player.data, we're just going to return and not do anything with it. But if we have player data, and then we have like some kind of variable, or let's say a key and a value, we want to be able to like set it like this, right? So we're now setting this variable inside of data. And then what I want to do, or what I'm thinking of doing, is like when this data is set, we set up a function of like callbacks. So if we have callbacks and we do something like this, except it should be an array, right? So we have these callbacks now. Actually, that needs to be a type. Hold on. Boom, 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 boom. All right, so we have these callbacks, right? And then when this data is set, we go through the callbacks like this. Let's just do callback. Is it in or of? I can't remember. Is it of? I think it's of. Yeah, it's of. And then we call the callback, and we pass something like, well, anything that really subscribed to the callbacks. So if we do like subscribe type, and we have like player or vehicle or whatever, and then we do like a callback to get that information back. We do callbacks, push callback. And maybe we do, well, I can figure out the type later. But the idea is you take this information here and then you have to say, here's the type, which is like a player. And then we pass the key and the value. Or we pass the new key, or the new and the old. So we do like const old value, player data key, old value, and let's just, for the sake of clarity, we change this to new value. And then that would pass that through here. But the question is, do I need that? Like, do we need something like this at all? Where you can subscribe to a data change as long as the rest of the framework is hooked up to this state manager in the same way. But we could also make this more efficient as well, where like the subscription is looking for a specific key only instead of all the keys. It's like, oh, if this callback has the type of whatever key and there's subscribers to this specific key, then we can emit data based around that specific key being changed. It kind of sounds handy. It'd be a good way to like wrap into anything, really. Because if we look at like the actual interfaces for the characters, you'd be able to tap into like anything that's inside of here. Like, oh, the cash changed, the bank changed, the health changed, the armor changed, the food, the water. it'd be a good way to just be able to check when something specifically has changed inside of the data, even like inventory and stuff. That could be handy. Yeah, let's... Fuck it, we'll do it. Alright, so we're gonna just architect this solution right now. So we need callbacks based on individual keys. We need a way to look up a callback based on an individual key. And we need an array that's assigned to specific keys as well. So like that's going to look like... So we'll call this callbacks. We'll give it a object type, I believe. And then we're gonna do a... Let me think. So I'm gonna separate this into two things. We're gonna do player data, which is going to be a key of string. And then we're going to do... Sorry, that needs to be like that. Key of string. And then it's going to be, we'll do a type key change callback. And let's make it a old value, which is any, new value, which is also any. And let me think. Old value, new value. I actually might be able to... Can I specify a type here? I can. And we'll give it a default of any. And we'll make this a void. But we also want the player to be passed through it too. Like who... It can be either a player or a... Let's just call it a target. Alt.vehicle. Hydrate. Thanks. I promise, I actually do have water. If you can hear it. But yeah, I think this is the type that we need. We just need a key change callback, and it's going to be an array of key change callback. And then we can just do this, which just initializes it. And then we can just handle whatever's inside of here. Actually, I don't think we need this. Yeah, I don't think we need that. Because it could be anything, right? But this here can be... either of those. But we want it to be based on type to make it a little easier. So then we can just do alt.player. Okay, so we have player data and we have vehicle data, right? Get rid of this. All right, so we have player data, vehicle data. We have a thing of callbacks here. We want to fetch the old value if possible. Why not have services like money service, food service? We kind of do. I'm not sure if that makes sense, though. This is more adding like additional functionality to the already existing data structures that we have. So this will at least let us see if there's like a change in value. So for instance, if we do alt, so this is going to be a target. And then if we do if target, let's call it data type, I guess. And then if we do target instance of alt.player, We can do player data, or we can do vehicle data. And then we can do if data type key make sure it's defined, and array array.isArray data type key, and then we can loop through this like this. We do data type key, and then we pass the information based on that. So we do target translation. I was expecting player and vehicle, but you pass player or vehicle. Why is it expecting and? Yeah, that's not gonna work. Okay, why are we complaining about that then? So the player is not assignable to type player and vehicle. It's supposed to be just an or though, but it can't be an or. Maybe I can set this up with this. Didn't matter. Okay. But it's like, it's either or. The only other way I could do this is like duplicate the functionality and not try to handle both, if that makes sense. Which kind of sucks. But it is what it is. So if I do like target instance of alt.player, and then we just do this, player data key. So we'll check if it's this, if it's an array, and we'll also check if player data key dot length is greater than or equal to 1. We can remove all that, and then we set the target data with the new value at the end. And then we process the callback. Now here's the thing about the callback. I don't know if we need to pass the key that got modified, because I mean you're already specifying what callback should be subscribing to a data change. I don't think it's necessary, but it also could be nice to have. So if we do like a subscription type of just any change as well, that also might not be a terrible idea. So we could have multiple subscription types. We could have very specific keys, but we could also have non-specific, where it just takes, it just takes any of them. It's like, I just want this one or that one or whatever, and so on and so forth. If that makes sense. Yeah, I guess we could just do that. So let's do like let's call it just like any change callbacks. And it's supposed to be an array of, let's say, let's do type any key change callback. And we'll just make this so we have the key, the old value, the new value, and we have a target as well. And then we could just do an array of any callback. All right. So this is going to get pushed into here. And we just set this to any key change callback. Subscribe to any key change for vehicle or player data. Callback will provide, or callback should provide target, key, and the new and old values. Okay, and then we could do static on, which is going to be key specific. And we do a type, which can be player or vehicle. And then we do a key callback, key change callback. All right, so this is going to let you do if, so let's say if type player, we do player data key. We need to make sure that like if player data key is not defined, we define it first. This, and then we do player data key push callback turn. And then let's just do this for vehicle as well. And then we'll leave it open in a similar format only because we want to be able to do it based on that. Actually, might be able to. Can I do this? Hold on. Data. I guess that's valid. That might be valid. I guess I could like make this a lot smaller. Oh, I could just do this. Hold on. I can just do player data and vehicle data. Then we just do type key. So if type key, but we should also check if type exists. If type turn alt log warning could not find type type for state manager must be player data or vehicle data. Then if it's not defined, we do type key, define it like that. And then we just do type key push callback. Better. All right, hopefully it'll take that. I'm not actually 100% certain it will, but who knows? Maybe it will. Data type. State manager must be player data, player vehicle. Callbacks. I should probably check if that's even a thing before I commit that. type scripting. Let me go test this online real quick. Or in another file, rather. Data. That's not even valid. Okay, that's fine though. We can just we can fix this. So what we can do instead is we can define it like this. Change these to this. We need to make these this thing here. Let's do data types, state types, player data. Vehicle data. State types. Get rid of those like that. All right, so now we just do data. There we go. Okay. So now that's set up, and we just need to fix this, which is going to be... So now we can just do... I believe we can just pass instancing accordingly. So maybe we can just do... let me think. Second. I'm losing my music. It's being weird. Yeah, that's so weird. Okay, so we do state manager old value. So we need to take this data that's inside of our state types. You need to determine which one it is. So we can do data type target instance of all player data or vehicle data. We can change this to a switch if we need to in the future. Yeah, I think it'll be like that. Then once we have that, we do if data type key. Okay, wait, we want to make sure it's defined. And then we want to make sure array is array, data type key. We also want to check to make sure there's something in there. So we do data type key length greater than or equal to 1. All right, check if data type has any values for the specific key provided. Any callbacks for the specific key provided. Then we can do this. Data type key. And instead of doing, it's expecting one or the other. So let's do actual target, because I think what we need to do is actually recast this. And I think that's the problem that it's having. So let me think. We don't need to recast it for each one. We just need to recast it for the one. If target instance of alt.player, we do target as alt player. And maybe we can do it this way. Unless it's still going to complain. It is totally going to still complain. Okay. Why is it expecting an and, though? Is it because I combine these? Because it could be either of these, right? Maybe I can do... It's not going to take that because it doesn't know if target or data exists. I don't think I can just pass this, though. No, I can't. Oh, man. So many problems. Hey, Joseph, how's it going? Okay, so we can't do entity. As much as I would like to. Cannot do entity. It seems like the only thing that I can do here is wrap it in an if for an instance. That's it. So like if instance, I'm sorry, wait, if target instance of alt.player, and then we just literally loop it. And it should be fine, but maybe not. Callback. No, still not gonna take it. It just doesn't like this whole... Can I... TypeScript problems, yes, exactly. So maybe we can just do this. Let's double check. I cannot. So it's expected 0. Callback. T. Any key change, callback. Alt.player, alt.vehicle. Yeah, that's just not going to happen that way. Unless I do alt entity. No, I can't do that. I keep fucking forgetting I can't do that. Because entity doesn't always have data. I have it set up for like at whatever, a prototype extension. Ugh. So it's expecting that it can be either one of these things, which is not entirely the case, but it's also like we're checking to see if... So the problem is here, it's in this thing. Because it's like, hey, we don't know if this is actually a vehicle or a player. And the only way to really resolve that is to not make it ambiguous and to clearly define which one is which kind of sucks. Because then it kind of defeats the purpose of this, but it also kind of lowers the code count a little bit. That's okay. We'll do it. That's fine. At least this way we have like a set method to do it. So we'll just do it that way. Yeah. That's fine. I guess that's as elegant as that can get. I can't think of any other way to do it right now other than prototyping entity, and I don't think that's a valid solution, honestly. Okay, and then if we do if any change callbacks dot length is greater than or equal to 1, we're going to loop through that. Process any type changes that that'll be fine. Okay, so that's there. Let's see. So now when you set something, it should automatically invoke everything. Use to set state for a player or a vehicle, such as player.data.health or vehicle data OS. And then the other thing with this set here is that I want to make it automatically save as well. So that's the other benefit of this. We want to be able to update the database accordingly, which will be really nice. Automatically updates database. Data is set. So this make it really, really easy to add keys and values to vehicles or players or whatever. So target player or vehicle. Okay, and then here we do the save. So the save is going to consist of save data change. So we're going to do wait. I think we actually have to do wait. Actually, we really don't have to, because I don't think we really care if it like fully got there. I mean, in most cases, it almost always gets to the data or to the database. Like there isn't really a case where it didn't make it, so to speak. But then again, maybe we should just add a true false as a general just in case, I guess. Let's just do that. Okay. It's probably important. Promise boolean, and then we'll just do false here. All of these should run without any issue. And then the one down here, we're going to do Athena database functions. And we have to do it based on if it's a player or a whatever. So we do constant collection equals target instance of alt player, and then we're going to do Athena database collections character or characters, I guess, and vehicles. Update partial data. And then we're going to do target data ID to string. Return await. This should return a boolean. Yeah. The data that we want to update is going to be key and new value. And then we just pass the collection here. And that should save accordingly. But the only catch here is we want to make sure that the ID is defined for the data. So that's the other catch. So if target data ID, we want to return false. So that should prevent any kind of data changes for IDs that don't even exist in the database. Okay. So I think that should be our setter for the state. So now what this will do is automatically save it when I change any kind of data. So now I'm not doing weird shit like where before, like how you would save things in Athena is something like this. You would do like data health, or let's do if instant or target instance of alt.player. So if we do target dot like data health and we set this to like 199, then I have to go in and do database funcs, or actually it was like player save field, and then I would pass the player like this. I would do health, and then I would do like 199 or whatever. Or in this case, it'd be like target data health. But now we can just do we could just do this, which is like state manager set. We pass the player, we do health, and we set 199, and it sets the data as well as the as well as saves it to the database. So I'm like reducing code lines by just doing it like this, I guess, if that makes sense. But anyway, and then we're gonna do return. Let's just do t. It's gonna be return of t if key anything. No, key of string. Otherwise, we do return target data. Sorry, target data key. The other catch here is that if target data turn undefined, we do alt log warning. I guess we just do has no, does not have a data property. Get data for the specified player vehicle. State manager get string some player name. Their name is result. Example, state manager get string some player name. Their name is result. Okay, yeah, that should work. It's very simple. Subscribe does what it does, on does what it does, and then we just need an off. The problem with that, though, is I don't know if I can identify the same... Maybe you can use the same callback to do an off. I don't really know, to be honest. Maybe. I don't know. I guess I could just try and... Well, in most cases, I don't know if you'd really need an off. Like, this is on server side. So it's like, I don't think this is something that you usually turn off. So I don't think we really need that. Let me think about it. Why would I ever turn off listening to data? Probably wouldn't. Yeah, I got nothing. So we're not going to do an off statement. Use to subscribe to a single key change event in player.data or vehicle.data. Okay, so let's try and see if this works. So we're actually going to build this into imports real quick and then see if it does what it's supposed to do. So if we do import systems state manager, so let's add that in there because I actually just want to write it here to test it. So we'll do state manager on player data, and let's give it a key of health, and let's do the other thing is like if the data is the same, I don't want it to call. So if new value equals old value. I'm actually not sure if that's because if we have like objects and stuff, that doesn't really apply. Keyboard, I don't have that for you. But what I can tell you is it's a ducky. It's got red switches. That's all I got for you. I'm trying to decide if this is like, so like, if the value is, if we're setting the value to the same value, do we even call this? But then the thing is like, So we could check for string and we can check for number. Those are the two that we can check. The rest we're gonna have to like just let it happen, like where the inventory order changes or something. So like if we do if type of new value equals number and type of old value is number, and old value equals new value, then we just return true, because it's already set to that, so I don't think we necessarily need to change it unless we're trying to invoke regardless. Oh, that's hard. Do we just let that happen? We're trying to set the value. We should probably just let it all like flow through, honestly. We shouldn't be checking. Because maybe somebody's looking for like, I don't know, an event change where their health is being changed and, you know, something happens every single time or whatever. So we should probably just let that go through, or flow through rather. And then if we do old value number, new value number, we should be able to just subscribe like this. Alt log warning. Player health changed for target data name. Yeah, something like that. All right, let's go ahead and test that in game. If I think it's saved. Okay, so if I think I already have an RPG. Yeah, I do? Oh, I have no ammo. Okay, I don't know if that actually saved, though. It doesn't seem like it. Maybe I'm crazy. Save. It's not reloading. Alright, so if we do... Oh, you know what? This isn't doing anything because we need to make a state change event. We don't have anything hooked into this yet. So let me think. Where can this happen? Where can this happen? This can happen. Let's plug it into death to start off with. Like here, it's supposed to be set respond. Is dead. Player trigger spawn. Handle command. Config. Death. Safe set position, but we also have like add health. So that's probably what we want, is something in here. Because we have AC, yeah, so that what we really want. Player data health. On tick. On tick, save. Okay. Yeah, I'm not setting it. Yeah, that's correct. I'm trying to figure out where I'm applying the health and position and all that sort of stuff. So I also need a... Oh, that's going to be interesting. I need to do a... This is already doing a partial update. That's tricky. I don't want to do multiple saves. I might need to make this so that it works with like a set multiple function. So that it sets a bunch of data together, then it reconstructs a new save based on that. So it's like a big bulky update partial instead of a single one. So we'll probably need to write that actually. But okay, so for the sake of actually testing this though, let's just do this here, where the data is being changed for the health, right? So that would actually just be like state manager set player health. Yeah, you're true. Yeah, it's very true. Oh, that's super annoying. I mean, realistically, in this on tick, we should be checking if the health is already the same as well. And only updating it accordingly. So this whole function actually needs to be updated. This is not perfect for nothing. same. So this function will get updated, but for the sake of testing this, I'm just going to run it and see what happens. So if we do player health like this, I just want to make sure that we're getting the call for this tick function. If I just stand here, in 5 seconds it should go. Keyword should. Oh, there it is. Player health changed, 199, 199. Okay, so it does work. So that's good. So now we can actually go through and set up something that's going to let us make this better. I think is what I want. I'm trying to think about how all this is working. Database will be spammed also. Yeah, exactly. But this whole thing, we're going to go through and we're going to change it so that each individual change is actually accounted for, instead of doing changes that are different, if that makes sense. So like, so what we can do is like verify that the position has a new hash or something. Like we can hash it all together, get like a hash for the position, compare the hashes, and so on and so forth. Yeah, database will definitely be spammed also. Okay, so let's think about what we need to do here. So we're checking like health, armor, etc. And before we were just pushing that data to the server. Hash will cost, yeah. That's true. Hey, thanks for subscribing, Koichi. That's cool. Thanks for the prime. I don't have anything special on my screen, I'm sorry. I never set it up. Let's do, hold on. So we have these injections and it's just passing this data over. And let me think how this is all gonna play together. No problem, yeah, for sure. On my side, I'm checking x different less than equals 0. It's okay. Well, thanks for the tip on that. I'll probably definitely do that. But so we have this like, so maybe what we can do is we can do static async set bulk, where it's similar to this, but instead of doing keystring whatever, keystring a new value, we do we just do like an object where it's, we can't do data, we need to do like, I guess target data is what we'll call it, and this can either be a character, partial character, or vehicle. Or is it iVehicle? I don't fucking remember. Yeah, that's what I called it. Well, to see, the problem is Pro Player, there's so many different types of data that it makes it very difficult to actually check it. Like, the only way that I could potentially check objects is by hashing the contents inside of the object into a string and comparing it against, like, the old one. Which is, as Babusha said, it is expensive to do that. Because when you're syncing something like an inventory, you have an array of items inside of it. because it's just how Athena handles it. That means that you're now comparing everything that's inside of that array, and you have to hash the contents and so on and so forth. So I mean, it's not a bad idea, but it's also like, is it worth it? I mean, hashing would be the easiest way to do it, period. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, like the simplest way to do it is based on hash. You know, there's simply put, there's a difference in how the hash is constructed. So like a SHA-256 with the item quantity change, or like like an inventory with an item quantity change is going to result in a different SHA-256 every single time, which is very simple to say, hey, the inventory changed, which honestly is not a bad idea. I just don't know if it's like, I don't know what the performance impact is going to be for state management that way. But also, I'm not really saving a ton of stuff all the time and like any kind of every tick and that kind of stuff. But SHA-256 is pretty quick. Makes me wonder, like, what the fastest thing is, or the fastest hash is. The choices. Anyway, yeah, let's just do. Do we leave it out? Do we leave it out? The tick function is like the only one where we're setting data that's going to be similar, if that makes sense. Hmm. We should allow setting it even if there's no difference and allowing it to call the callback though. Because maybe a plugin relies on seeing those changes even if there's no changes in differences. And then that puts that specific aspect of if it's the same value on the actual, like it passes that to the actual client rather. Yeah. Yeah. But it's also like, do we. Okay, so I think the problem here is that we're just trying to avoid saving it multiple times. We don't care if it's set multiple times, and we don't care if it's called multiple times, because I want the client to be in control. Not the client itself, don't think of like the actual client. I want the people that are using the framework to be like, hey, this may or may not have changed. The values are the same. You're still going to get the event. That's up to you if you want to check if the values are the same or not. I don't want to restrict them from that. So I shouldn't fully handle it on my side. It should be the person that's creating the plugin or tapping into the callback function here to decide if they need it or not. So it's not for me or for the framework to do it, but only in the sense of saving it, I guess. So then what I should do instead is I should hash the content of old and new, compare it, and that'll be and that will determine whether or not we should save that position. And I think that's extra field with last micro time. No, that's too much overhead. Like think about like 300 players saving every single time for a value was last changed, and so on and so forth. That's way too much overhead and way too much over engineering for that. Like all we can, like if we simply just do the hash between old value, new value, that's more than enough for me to be like, hey, I'm going to save this data now because it's different. It's different data. So realistically, what I can do is like if new, let's say type of, what's the current issue? We're currently deciding whether or not the state management system, so when a data type changes, if we should compare before saving or if we should just save it. And the thing is, the only way that we can compare objects is we have to hash it. So that's like an expensive task or an expensive function to check the difference between, like two objects or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, we have to compare it. And the only way we can compare an object really efficiently is like a SHA-256 or some other hashing function. So for numbers and strings, we can compare no issue. For Boolean values, we can compare no issue. But it's when it comes down to the object, that's where it gets expensive. Unimportant data, just toss it in. Important data, compare. Yeah, I mean, we don't have to compare inventory and equipment and things like that, but anything like that's number based or string based, we can compare, and if they're the same, we can ignore. I think, yeah, that's probably a better solution than doing the expensive hash checks. Okay, let's just do that. Fuck it. Has anybody here asked about the factions? No, nobody's asked about factions. Honestly, I think factions are in a pretty good place right now. There's still some stuff missing, but it's definitely better than what it was. Yeah, no fucking kidding. So if the type is string number boolean and the new value equals the old value, we just return true because we don't need to save it. That's it. So this will handle the checks for that sort of thing, I guess. I'm gonna do that. It's a little easier for me to read. Also, don't call callback. No, no. We should call the callback, regardless, even if it's the same value. Only because we don't want to be. It's not for me. It's weird to think about it, but this framework is not for me. You know what I mean? So like, if somebody wants to check the old and the new value on their side, I need to make that available to them. I'm just doing random things right now, Jones. Trying to add some new features and some new things that'll help with working with the framework a little bit more. And I also want to take all the target data X stuff, and I want to feed it through this new state manager so you can listen to the key changes and things like that, which will enable things like, oh, their health changed, or oh, their armor changed, or their position changed, or their inventory changed, or so on and so forth. So that's going to be the new thing that's getting added into Athena. So this will be a whole server-side state management system for that. And then what I could also add to this as well is like, maybe at some point I have very specific keys that automatically get synchronized to client side through this new set system as well. And we could have a proper web view state management system that automatically synchronizes inventory, equipment, etc. changes. So it's like other things that can be built into this system as well, which would be really, really cool. You should add is same argument to the listener. If it is the same, don't call that. To add or not to add? That is the question. If I add it, that means I gotta change how this functions. This callback, I mean, it needs to be inside of here. Because you have to do it for each individual callback that gets invoked or added to the state types. So that means that every callback has to be unique based on should it check for same or whatever. God, that's so annoying. I don't know. Like for them, it's just like they add a simple if statement. For me, it's like I have to fucking go into so much shit in here. And that also means that I need to make it work for inventory, equipment, etc., which means I do need to introduce hashing at that point. Or you could add it to set function. Yeah, but then that's based on, like, let's say health is being set in like 10 different places. That means I need to set it up for all of that. Like these are going to be, this function is mostly going to be called by internal Athena stuff in most cases. Oh god, I don't know where to take this. That's so much overhead. I think I need to leave it open. I really do. I need to leave it open so that they can handle what they want to do with it. Like maybe they're looking for a specific, like it might be the same value, but maybe they're looking for a specific value. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, maybe it's already -1, but they're only listening for -1 set changes or something. I don't know why they would be doing it, but I need to enable that functionality. You know, I can't restrict them on it too much. You know what I mean? Like I want to be able to have that ability for anybody to write code based on this. Tough choice, that's for sure. We're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it. I don't think I should. I don't think I should introduce that overhead. It doesn't seem necessary. It seems like something that somebody can do in the plugin themselves to do the comparison between the values. It just seems completely unnecessary to do it. Like, I don't think it should be handled inside of here. Why don't you work with microservices? To be completely honest, I don't know what the fuck a microservice is. Let's see. Does TypeScript have microservices? Or are you talking about like what do you mean by microservice? Are you saying to like make classes that extend based on so on and so forth, or I don't know what you mean. Like a microservice can be so many things. And plus, like breaking everything down into individual components that it like fucking that like build into each other is also very strange to me. What's that guy's name, Bob or whatever, who talks about how you should make everything so granular to the point where it can be replaced easily or something by making every single function for every single thing an individual file and an individual folder, an individual class that's implemented by other classes and so on and so forth. You're talking about that kind of structure, right? Is that what you're talking about when you talk about microservices, or? Because if you are, I can't stand that shit. It's too ambiguous and too abstract to actually build anything meaningful, as far as I'm concerned. So, like, I just want to get the implementation done. I don't want to have to worry about abstracting it to the point of obscurity. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, set bulk, right? Because that's what we were doing, I think. So this should be that, and then we should actually do a boolean here, and we should do... This is going to be fun. We have to do a comparison check at the bottom between old values and new values for every single object that's inside of here. Very cool. All right. So that means we do this. And then we do object keys, target data for each key. Fuck. Yeah, old values key equals target key all right, so there's that. And then we also want to do like I guess we could just do this. Yeah, we could definitely do this. We do this. No, we need to do did key change key string boolean. Is this what I'm fucking doing? What are we using old value here for again? Oh yeah, we're passing it. That's right. Okay. This is more of actually did value change. And then this would be target data key. Is not equal to this. Then we do not return true, but we do did value change key equals true. Else false. Okay, now we have all of our information for old values and if the old value changed. Don't need to check all objects. You can stop checking when you find changed part, or do you want to update only change data? I only want to update these specific types. I don't care about objects. They will always be updated. But what's happening here is that you're passing a partial character or iVehicle interface set. And then inside of those interfaces, it has a shitload of different things inside of here with different types. So if the type is of like a bank number, for example, I want to check if the number is the same. And if the number is the same, I don't care. Or I mean, if the number is the same, I want to ignore updating it further down the line where I'm going to process it down a little bit further. So in the instance here, we want to be able to pass all the callbacks, regardless if the data changed or not. But then when it comes down to saving the data, which is what's going to be happening in here, we want to make it so that the partial data that is saved is, yeah. Yeah, so set bulk is for the entire object. It's not just a little bit of stuff. Like I want to be able to set bulk for the entire data set and still manage to hit every callback with that data change. But what I could do is separate this functionality here and break it down a little bit further so that I'm not having to do duplicate callbacks here. And we could make that a little bit better for this, I guess. Process callbacks. And we're just going to pass exact. Well, it's not an array, but it's an object, but yeah. So I might be able to actually just get this in here so that when that data is called like this, we just do state manager. I'm sorry, wait, this dot. Oh, can I not do that? It needs to be async, private async. Are you still not letting me do that? Private. Oh, not ace. Fuck, static. God damn it. I'm getting everything all mixed up. So state manager, process callbacks. We're going to pass target. We're going to pass key. We're going to pass old value. And then we're going to pass new value, just like that. And then I can take this. So that reduces the overhead for that. And now I can do this for each individual key type where the value actually did change. Key, target key, and then the new value, which is supposed to be target data key. Okay, so that's going to, I need to change this because I want this to be, this needs to be asynchronous and it needs to wait for stuff to go through. So for each, I don't believe actually waits for everything to complete before moving forward. So we need to change that. Maybe I'm wrong. I can't remember. I think what I actually need is key of object.keys target data. like this. And then this should just be a string, yeah. And then instead of doing this, put this in here, like that. That's much better. And then that automatically processes the callbacks regardless of what's happening there. And then what we want to do is we want to go through let's call this, instead of did value change, we do did data change, right? Or let's call it data to update rather. And it's going to be a partial of either of these. And then we do the compare difference. Okay, so if it's this, hold on, let me think about this. So our goal here is we process the callbacks. Then we need to define what data needs to be actually saved. And in order to do that, if type of target data key equals, let's say, an object or array.isArray target data key, we do data to update key equals target data key. So we're just going to pass that data in, and then we just continue. But then when we get down to the string number Boolean types, we need to check their values. So if target data key is not equal to target key, this is actually wrong, I think. Yeah, this should actually be target data key. Target data key. So if it's not equal to that, we do data to update key equals target data key. Continue. So if it equals this, we just continue. Otherwise, we set it. Then we can remove all this. And then our next step down here would be going through and taking the new data and saving it accordingly. So in this case, we would do static async update data. No, I don't think, no, we're not going to do that. We're just going to take this and put it right here because it's a little bit different, but not really. Data to update. And then if object keys data to update dot length less than or equal to 0, we just return true. And then down here we return based on whatever the database update is. So that should allow us to bulk update everything. So let me double check this fucking crazy ass logic we have here. So we have the old values, which I don't actually think we need to set this anymore. This is useless, so let's just remove it. What we do need to do is set that data on the player, if that hasn't already been done. It is not. So what we could do down here is we can do target data key equals new value. And then we don't have to have it in here. And instead what we can do, get rid of this down here. So that'll process the callback and update it. But realistically, we should actually put it probably at the top before the function is being, or the callback is being called. So that way when they receive the function with the change data, it's not like behind or whatever. So I think that makes sense. So then our callbacks are being updated accordingly. Except this, now the problem is this. So let's do old data. Let's get that now then. So we do this where we get the old data. And instead of doing target.data here, we have that data already. So this is like new data. So let's rename this to something that makes way more sense. And then we have the old data. New data key equals old data, and then new data, set data to update, so on and so forth. Why are you checking if it's array object? Just check if it's a string, number, boolean. Check if data is equal. Other types, object, whatever skip it says. Well, I mean, either way, it's the same, right? So here we're checking string, number, boolean. And if it's the same, then we return true. But here in this case, we have bulk amounts of things to update. So we need to check it for each individual property inside of the object. So it's faster to be like, this is an object, or if this is an object or a array. Is it faster? I don't know. Wait. I mean, either way, you end up with the same logic, right? Because if I switch it, it's technically the same. Oh, you're saying, okay, wait, you're saying like if it's, okay, I see what you mean a little bit. Because we only want to do comparison differences for these. We don't care about the rest. Okay. Okay. So if we do this, new data key, but you could check if it's not forced to update, yeah, compare difference. So if we do if compare diff and new data key equals old data, we continue. Remove this, remove that. So if it's string, number, or boolean, compare the data. And if it's equal to it, we continue, otherwise we update. Makes sense. We append it to our data to update object. If compare diff, set this continue, so fail hard, fail fast, right? And then otherwise we need to do a data check, and then down at the bottom of that. That should be at least a little bit quicker. And we can also just do this. So if this or this, continue. So if the compare difference is false, wait, hold on. No, we can't do that. What am I doing? It's different. It's much different. Because the comparison difference is, yes, it's a string number. Boolean, now we need to set it. Oh no, wait, we can do that. We can just... There. But then, hold on. There's a case where we don't actually set that. Yeah, no, let's just keep it separate. It's just easier to understand. We'll keep it separate. I don't want to combine it. I'm already confused about it. I'm not going to think about it too hard. We'll keep it separate. So just to explain here is we're checking each new data's property key. We're checking if the new data is a preferred type to check, i.e. string and boolean. And then we do if the comparison is if it is not correct type, just update it. Odoran, how's it going? If the data all right, yeah, I think that makes as much sense as it can. All right, so set a bulk amount of data and update it in the database. If the values are different, it's going, my dude. It's a going. Friday, yeah, Friday for sure. Right now we're working on a server-side state manager for two different entity types, which are player and vehicle. And when you call the state management, it emits events based on if the data was, like if the key was, oh my gosh, I can't even fucking... It's GTA 5 stuff. Like, we're writing a GTA 5 server. It's a framework for it. But the state manager stuff is something that's we're adding into the framework to make it accessible for everybody to tap into it. So it's kind of like a... I don't even know how to explain it. But the basic point is, like, let's say that they update the health. We want that old value and new value to emit a callback based on that, but we also want the state manager to handle saving the data to the database. So that's what we've been writing. It's, yeah. I hope it makes sense. I don't know. It's not. It's a framework or a multiplayer client called Alt-V. You can just so happen to write a server with JavaScript, so which is pretty neat. You can actually check that out there if you want. But yeah. So this whole framework is built on top of it, of the Alt-V client, and we are adding new features to it. So in the case of this, we're trying to make a state manager that handles things according to what we pass, I guess. So, but the more you know. But the whole framework itself is fucking gigantic. You can actually, there's some documentation on what I've been writing. It's a big mix, so. No, it's far more complicated. I don't even know how to fucking explain how Alt-V works. It's like got like C++ bindings that tap into, they make like, they invoke like native calls as well as like reverse functionality that's been done through C++ and so on and so forth. So it's like a custom client that injects itself into your GTA 5 to override some of the functionality that's based inside of it. Yeah, there's a bunch of crazy shit happening. But for this one specifically, we're using the JavaScript module, which they have different SDKs for C# and JavaScript. But we're using the JavaScript for the entire framework that I'm building. So, but yeah, let's see. So we have this on tick here where we've realized, oh, this is like super unperformant because it's just always saving the data regardless of if the data has been changed or not. So now we are going to tap it into we're going to tap into the new state manager system where we have set bulk, and we're going to try and update the player data based on that. So at the end of this, down here at the bottom, we have this partial where it's doing all this injection stuff. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to take that and put that in injections like this. And then instead of doing player.data.this, that player.data. XYZ, whatever, we can change this so that we just have this injection here of the data that we want to save, and then it should pass it to set bulk for our state manager. And when it sets bulk, it's going to go through, do some comparisons and so on and so forth, and then save the data to the database if it's different. So I think that makes sense. And I think we need to check and see if it even works. So the one way that we have it set up right now is we have this player data health change, and we'll see if it shows up. I imagine it will. Is it a deep comparison? No, it's very shallow. It only checks string, number, boolean. We didn't want to check individual types in each individual object. That's way too much, especially when you get into things like inventory where you have like quantity or you have different data types for individual items and so on and so forth. So I don't think we'll be doing a deep comparison like that. If we did, it would be a lot of overhead. For just like it would be pretty slow because I mean the fastest way that we could probably do it is like a SHA-256 comparison between like the different object hashes or whatever. Yeah. So I think we're just gonna do a shallow, and then it's like the things like an inventory system or an equipment system or whatever. It's just always gonna push the callbacks and the data changes to the database and so on and so forth. I don't really care as much because it's like when you're usually modifying that type of data, you're actually modifying it. It's not usually just called to randomly synchronize it or something. You know what I mean? So it just makes more sense to just kind of ignore it, I guess. So here, like, we only save based on if the data has been changed for number, string, and boolean. Otherwise, we don't care. But every callback will always have new value, old value, whatever. It depends on what the person that is using this framework needs out of it. So like, for instance, if the old value equals the new value, we're just going to ignore it like that. So now we're only listening for new changes rather than doing it at the level inside of here, I guess, for the callbacks and stuff. So now they have the option to listen to changes based on what they want. Nice, ship it, yeah. So now we can do like, so this shouldn't ever be called now. So like in this console, I'm waiting for that function to call, but my health hasn't changed. So now, supposedly, if I do this and give myself some ammo, because I keep forgetting ammo. Should have gotten a call, but yeah, there it is. So player health change, I haven't been set a 200. So that's interesting though. That's not really a death event type of thing. what we could do is just do death. Player death change. Death. Wait, is it, or is it death or is dead? It's is dead. There we go. Yeah, it looks like it should have been 0, but it's like the way what happens is you respawn the player with maximum health, set them into ragdoll, set their health to 200, set them invisible, so on and so forth. So in the case of this one, so if we do respawn or revive, see if that changed. No, it didn't, because I didn't tap the rest of the stuff into this, so it's not even gonna matter. I have to do other state management. I have to like fucking rewrite some of this code to make it even work. So like is dead. Player data is dead. Equals. There we go. So we do state manager set player is dead true. Remove this. And then we do it here as well. And here as well. There we go. All right, now we can try it. Since we're just listening for Boolean changes, right? So we do 1, we sell some ammo. We should see player death change for true. I guess that's not really exactly what we should call it, but the point is that it did work. It is not being called multiple times. Yeah, so that should be working as, you know, as it should. But now it's a matter of taking the rest of the game mode and wrapping everything that does player.data.x equals whatever and pushing it into this state manager now. And then we should have events for every single data change in the entire framework. But that's for another time. I don't want to spend too much time on stream doing that because that's going to take fucking forever, to be completely honest with you. So I think we're going to stop the stream here today and I'm going to move on. Billions of events. Yeah, literally. Like there's so many just things that are available now. So, but anyway, I guess thanks for tuning into this stream that I haven't streamed in like 8 months or something. But I appreciate all of you that decided to show up today and check out this stream. So, if anything, you can check out the Athena framework, athenaframework.com. It's free. It's pretty easy to clone to get it started and try and play with it or whatever. There's a lot of things you can do with it, so definitely do check it out if you want to. A lot of people have taught themselves to code using this thing, so if you're curious of how it all works, you know, the source code is open. You can check it out yourself or make pull requests or do whatever you want to do, you know? That being said, I don't know who we're going to raid. It's not like anybody else really has GTA 5 stuff that's programming related. So yeah. Let's raid this guy, because why not? Thanks for tuning in. Definitely won't see me tomorrow. I don't know when I'm going to stream again, but maybe next week. So, see you guys.
Are you sure